If it's Monday at 1, it must be time for the Flying Pigskin. Even if there was no game yesterday, it must be time for the Flying Pigskin. Because birds got to sing, fish got to swim,
and our bosses told us so.
And pigs got to fly. With Keenan Singleton, I'm Ken Brew. Welcome to this, the latest edition of the Flying Pigskin, available on WCPO.com. Get the app. We're also up on iTunes.
Of course.
Audio only, but we're up on iTunes. And all of these past episodes are available 24/7 on WCPO.com. Okay, you're just back from the Bengals locker room. They had a long week off. They had no games since Thursday, so they're Friday, Saturday, Sunday, nothing.
Off days.
Off, nothing. What's the tenor down there? What's the mood like down there?
Still professional, still week to week. You try to get these guys, you try to bait them a little bit. I don't want to say bait as a media person, but you try to get them talk a little bit about, a perfect season. These guys are not taking that bait right now. Huh? It's 9-0. It's week to week, week to week. We're not thinking about 16-0. They will concede that they are thinking about the playoffs. Being perfect in the playoffs to them is more important than being perfect in the regular season, which makes sense.
Well, we said Friday, it's over. The AFC North race is over. There's no drama left there. It's all
especially
about
with Ben hurt.
Yeah, can you win? And if you do win, can you continue down the road to getting one of those top two seeds? And if the season ended today, they'd be the second seed in the AFC playoffs.
Sitting pretty. Home games here at Paul Brown.
But if the season ended today, they'd only have 8 wins. So you could there's a double-edged sword there.
High school games.
Big show today. Mr. Satin is coming to us from his man cave. Tanya O'Rourke has her pulse on the Vox Populi, the social media. But we begin with the track coach at Lakota East High School, one of the greatest athletes in the history of the University of Minnesota, and arguably, along with Pete Rose, the greatest athlete who's ever come out of Western Hills High School, Rodney Heath. Rodney, welcome back to the Flying Pigskin.
Hey, I'm glad to be here, man. You know that. Thank you.
Do you change that picture behind you each week?
Hey, I can't put anything past you, can I?
Hey.
What color was the jersey last week?
It was the Western Hills jersey, right?
It was not. It was the Bengals jersey.
Was it?
It was old school Bengals.
I know somebody that's been to your house recently, and they said there's a giant portrait of you in your Bengals uniform, and you're posing, and there's 2 lit candles on either side of it. Is this true?
That's an amazing visual.
Yeah, that's true, actually.
Yeah, see that? I knew it was true. Yeah, I know all about this stuff. I got sources.
You got sources on sources on sources.
So let me. Should we be not getting wrapped up on all this 16-0 talk? First of all, could this team go 16-0 in your opinion?
I mean, I honestly think they have all of the intangibles to be able to do that. I mean, with what's left on the schedule and having the advantage, only game I would say would be very tough would be the one in Denver on a Monday night, and everything comes down to that. With Denver losing yesterday, that kind of takes Denver, I'm not going to say out of the second seed talk or whatnot. I still think that that's still going to come down to how the Bengals do all the way up until that game. Hopefully that game is not going to matter when they get there.
Plus, Denver controls its own destiny, Keenan. They got New England out there. They got Cincinnati out there. So
the road goes through Denver.
They're still driving the bus for all this stuff, I think.
But they have a loss now, so that also kind of changes things for them. But you're right. I mean, the Bengals come out there, the Patriots come out there. They could be sitting pretty. We'll see how they're doing when the winter comes as far as Peyton Manning's arm, though.
Did you watch the game, that game yesterday in Indianapolis, Rodney? Did you catch any of that?
Yeah, I did catch some of that game. Yeah, that was crazy.
I thought Denver's defense was nothing like it was in the first 7 weeks.
Overrated.
I was surprised that they got shredded the way they did. What about you?
Yeah, I was too. I thought Indianapolis came with a really good game plan, especially after they got a new OC. So that kind of changed some of the things that Denver might have been thinking Indianapolis was going to run. I saw a lot of crossing routes against them. Even with the running game, getting Gore back in there. And, it was one of those things where it was like, is the defense off just this week, or is this something we got to look forward to in the future?
Yeah. I thought Manning, though, threw the ball downfield better than what I've seen him throw the last few weeks.
And I think Andrew Luck was finally healthy for the first time in several weeks. And if he's healthy, that's a totally different team. He drives that engine, much like Peyton Manning used to when he was in that blue and white. So if he's healthy, maybe these Colts make this AFC South something that's decent to look at again.
Rodney, did you ever poke anybody in the eye when you played like Aqib Talib did last night?
A couple Steelers, I thought about doing that too, but no, I actually didn't do that. I was, that was so key, and I thought it was one of the dumbest things he could have done. They actually had a chance to make him kick a field goal and then go back down, and you never know what will happen with Peyton on that end. So I think that was just one of the dumbest things. You need to keep his composure.
Yeah, I agree. I agree 100%. Roethlisberger's out now for Pittsburgh, maybe back week 12 against Seattle. But obviously, that's a huge blow to them. There's 3 teams right now chasing 2 wild card spots, Pittsburgh, Oakland, and the Jets. I just think that really takes the wind out of Pittsburgh's sails. What about you?
Yeah, I honestly agree with that. I think I might have said last week that I only saw the Bengals possibly coming out from the north and actually, possibly getting a bye or being the number 3 seed. And I thought that maybe a team like the Jets or the Raiders could possibly get in the playoffs and, get in there at that 5 and 6 seed, because we know the number 4 seed is going to come from either Indianapolis or, one of those teams from that division. So it's tough for Pittsburgh without having been.
Rodney's a Raiders guy, right?
No, I didn't know
He's
that.
a Raiders guy.
Are you really? I didn't know that.
I grew up. Yeah, thank you, Keenan, for bringing that up. But, I grew up a Raiders fan, so still love the Bengals, but,
They look good yesterday, Rodney. They Derek Carr, that AC/DC connection, that's something that you got to watch out for the next decade, I think.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm thinking maybe you grew up, like as a kid growing up, Art Shell was big with the Raiders, right? He was playing with the Raiders. Marcus Allen was on those teams, right?
Yeah. The guys that got me into the Raiders, Marcus Allen, you talking about Lester Hayes, you talking about Howie Long and those guys right there. And maybe it was the color. I don't know. Maybe it was California dreaming. I don't know what it was.
I'll tell you what. When I was I was working down in Tampa, and when they played the Super Bowl down there, the Redskins played the Raiders down there, and Marcus Allen had that big touchdown run. And those guys were just fun guys to be around. They just were. They were just really fun guys. And you're a fun guy too, Rodney. Thanks for joining us on the Flying Pigskin today.
No problem, man. Y'all take it easy.
All right, good luck. Make sure you blow those candles out before you go to bed.
All right, I will do that. Thanks, man. Bye.
3 undefeated teams now: the Patriots, the Bengals, and the Panthers.
Who would have thunk it?
Of all those 3, the most improbable to me is the Bengals. But I mean, the Panthers are a little improbable too with this stuff.
The Patriots, I think everyone sees them year in, year out as a team that can go 7-1, 8-0 at this point of the year. But I agree. I would think the Panthers would be more unthunkable.
Yeah.
At this point of the season.
Let's bring in the nerve center. Let's bring in the nerve center of this operation, and that would be Matt Lukin. And assisting Matt today, as always, back there on the controls, Brian Neese to his left in what can only be described as a renegade shirt from the 80s. And to his right, Mike Strotman. Gentlemen, welcome. And then off camera, but still she can perhaps photobomb here. No, that's on camera, Libby Duber.
Wow.
She has Johnny Manziel's phone number.
Who wrote that lower third? Did she write that one? Who wrote that?
She's got his phone number, yeah. Do you think he's cute? Really?
He's kind of small.
The celebrity effect.
Well, that's it. I think if, I could, it's very difficult for me to place myself as a woman. I mean, I can't just say, hey, let me think as a woman would think. Although, I would think if you went out with Johnny Manziel, you'd have a good time. You'd have to have a good time. Wouldn't you think you'd have a good time if you went out with Johnny Manziel?
Yes,
if you stayed out of jail.
Yeah.
You wouldn't remember it. Yeah.
Right.
Is Libby taller than Johnny Manziel, though?
Just a little bit.
He's a small fella.
Yeah. She'd have to wear flats.
I think in heels, Johnny might be a little bit taller. He could be. Anyway, so that's the nerve center back there. We're doing a show isn't this weird, Matt? We're doing a show on a Monday and there's really no game to talk about?
It is. Well, bye weeks have always sort of, ever since they put the bye week in, I think every fan who has a team, they don't know what to do on that weekend.
That's what fantasy football is for.
I guess, yeah. The buys came in before that was really big. But yeah, I never know, even if the Bengals are just playing on a Monday or Thursday, I mean, you get up on Sunday and you're like, okay, it's 1 o'clock and I don't know what to do. I mean, the Pittsburgh game is big, but I want to watch it. But it's I don't like the buys, but I guess that's just another week they can make some money.
They used to have 2 bye weeks.
Yeah.
In fact, if you go back in Bengal lore, you go back, and it was one of their early seasons, one of their first 2 or 3 seasons, they had a bye week the last week of the season.
That's ridiculous.
So like their season ended like a week before everybody else's did.
You guys in the back row were a lot more optimistic than we were about this season. Now that we're at this 8-0 point, what's the record that you guys are kind of predicting at this point?
I
moving
just
forward?
want 4 more wins so I can beat Matt.
So you
in
can
our
win that bet.
Yeah. We'll have to go to the. I still say we have to go to the adjudication committee on whether that's a
Who would that be?
legitimate win.
Who would the adjudication committee be?
We'd have to form the adjudication committee.
Okay,
and
I'm president.
That would be. But no, they have 8 more games. I think I would have to guess at this point they'd win at least 5 of them.
So 13-3. That's what I was.
I mean, I think 13 and maybe even 14. I mean, and it could be more, but I think a minimum of 13, which would be the best they've ever done.
As long as Dalton
12 is the
stays
best
healthy.
they've ever.
As long as Dalton stays healthy, that's the whole thing.
I agree with you to some point with that, but I think the Bengals are a great offense. And yes, he would be better than if A.J. McCarron had to come in. But I don't think if he goes down and A.J. McCarron comes in, that the team is just going to go belly up like the Cowboys or something like that.
No, but they're not going to beat. If Dalton's not there, they don't beat Denver. They don't beat Phoenix. They don't beat anybody in the playoffs. I mean, A.J. McCarron is. I mean, you might as well roll out.
Well, he's an unknown quantity.
I
mean, I think he's a better. I agree, but I think he's a guy who's been in some pressure situations. I bet he would be a decent player. I don't want Andy Dalton to go down, and I know it would be less than it would be if he would, but I would be optimistic comparing it to what you'd normally get for a backup having to come in when you're offensive, when the guy who's going down is an MVP candidate.
I think we just need to give Andy Dalton credit for once. City. I mean,
well, we can because the real
My dog
McCoy's
is-
here.
no, I mean,
think I'm just saying A.J. McCarron's
Dalton
not
can
that
come
bad.
in. Dalton can get hurt and anyone can come. I just don't.
I didn't say that. I think
know,
that
but
if A.J. McCarron came in, they wouldn't just go belly up, and they would still be close to what they were with Andy Dalton. I think that Hugh Jackson is one of the biggest reasons that this offense does what it does, and he'd still be in charge.
I think Hugh Jackson's out of here.
So do I.
I think
Because he's going to get a head
Job,
coaching
Yeah,
job.
I think Hugh Jackson is. He's. You might as well call him the van right now. He's gone.
Yeah, he's out of here.
I mean, he's liable.
He deserves it.
He may
really
be right
does.
up the road in Detroit. I mean, he could be. Could be.
What about Indy?
Indy?
Yeah.
I think that dude might have.
Saved his job last night.
Yeah, I think he might have. And I think they're going to win that division, so I think he'll be okay.
I don't know. I think you see a lot in the NFL, even with success. Harbaugh last year with the 49ers, even when you have a successful coach, if you don't get along with your front office, if you don't get along with your boss, you could easily be out of there.
And that's going on in India.
That's what's going on.
I could see him in Detroit, though.
I could see him in Detroit.
Just because Stafford, I mean,
Keenan raised a
Lord.
point last night on Sports of All Sorts. What if he goes to Washington, D.C.? Then you have an offensive coordinator replacing an offensive coordinator. How about that?
that would be interesting.
Okay.
All right.
Mr. Satin apparently is in the bowels of his building.
Oh man, I like this. I didn't see this when we checked him out. Check this out. He's got lower the Chiron. He's got a little visitor with him there. Yeah, how about that?
What is that, a monkey? What is that? Oh, it's a cat. Oh, okay.
Oh, he's getting pissed off. You talked bad about him. He doesn't like that.
Is that what's the cat's name? Mr. Mittens? What's his name there?
Yeah, that's Leroy Brown. He's the biggest Bengal fan around.
What's his name?
Leroy Brown.
His name is Leroy Diesel Brown, the biggest Bengal fan around.
Leroy Diesel Brown. Well, that's good. Is that your little schnookums?
Yeah, oh, you know what? We go way back. He's a little rescue guy from probably about 10 years ago, and he's omnipresent. He's everywhere.
I had a cat once. I had to give. Did you ever give a cat a bath?
Oh my God.
No, seriously. No.
Why would you do that?
Well, I
Why'd you have to?
was living in Tampa, and they had a flea problem there.
Oh,
They had
okay,
this dip stuff.
I've done that. Okay, that's not okay. I get you. I don't
Yeah, that's
call that
not
a bath.
pleasant. The cat does not like that.
No, I'm with you. I've had to do that before, and it is. The cat struggles to get away from you.
Very, it doesn't realize this is for its own good. But enough about my cat, which is long deceased.
We've regressed.
We regress. Mr. Satin, are you in your basement? Where are you?
Yeah, so, this weekend there was no Bengals game, but I'm working on my X and O's. Had to stay in today, got a little deadline going on, work on the X and O, trying to figure out what's going on with this Texan defense. I'm a little nervous with it.
The Texans defense, all they have is J.J. Watt. Well, they got the guy that used to be here, right? Jonathan Joseph. But really, it's all basically just J.J. Watt, is it not?
Yeah, but you know what? How many guys does it take to block that guy? So, you're going to shift the line over a little bit. I mean, he's still a force. I'm a little nervous on Monday night games, but come on. Give it up for Dalton. Give it up. We're working on 9-0, gentlemen. Who would have thought that?
Do you know who the quarterback is in Houston?
Brian Hoyer.
Brian Hoyer. When was the last time Brian Hoyer came to town? What happened here, right?
Smoked them.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
I
so
love-
we
I love it.
got to be careful. Got to be careful with Brian Hoyer.
You brought up J.J. Watt, and he's on our screen right now. It will be interesting to see who is at right tackle this week for the Bengals, considering Andre Smith didn't play a week ago. Winston stepped in and did a nice
game's
job.
all right.
But that's the premier defensive end in the league that you're staring at.
Yeah,
I think we put in Baby Hewitt, help him out a little bit back there with the long locks.
Baby Hewitt.
Get Hewitt back there, our fullback. Help him out a little bit. I think we're going to need that.
A lot of chip blocking.
Mr. Satin, I don't know about you, but I hate J.J. Watt, okay? I'm so sick of him. Everybody thinks he's God because he can catch passes and block and, tie his shoes all at the same time.
Well, he was for 2 playoff games
I know.
against the Bengals. He was God.
I got it, okay? But I hate it,
Right.
okay? I mean, the only Steelers about now, in my mind, go into a lower depths than J.J. Watt. I'm
Wow.
sick.
Really?
Yeah.
This is
I'll give it up. He's probably a nice guy around town, but on the field, no. We got the weapons this year. I don't see him really getting in the way. The only thing that's in the way is that final score, which how many points we're going to put up on these guys. So
He's the face of the NFL. He's the face of the NFL.
Hey, next year it's going to be Dalton. Watch.
It seems like
There
you guys
go.
have
How about that?
you guys have gotten over the primetime jinx. I guess Thursday night's win by the Bengals. It seems like you guys are no longer worried about Andy Dalton performing under the lights.
I think if it continues Monday night, I'll feel a lot better.
Okay.
But I think it is. I think a lot. You know what? I think a lot of that was. I have no proof of this or anything. I think Marvin got those teams so uptight. And I think he made a big deal about it. It's prime time, this and that. And I think, it kind of psyched some of these guys out a little bit.
Marvin.
Well, when all else
No
fails,
comment.
blame Marvin.
No comment.
I think also we're taking these steps too, right? I mean, it's not like we're not getting thrown into the wolves, taking on, the Broncos right off the bat in prime time. It's like, Brownies, Texans, Cardinals. I think we got this progression that we keep knocking
That's a
down.
good way of looking at it.
Yeah, you're kind of building to something.
Doors,
Yeah, you're kind of building to something. So, Satin, what actually goes on in your house when you're not on Skype talking to us, besides you and Mr. Mittens? What happens there?
It's Leroy Diesel Brown, biggest Bengals fan in town.
Well, what do? You can't sit there and talk to a cat all day. What do you do when you're not with us?
Well, actually, you'd be surprised. There is a lot of talking and chatting amongst my cat and I. But no, we do all kinds of stuff. We're down here. We're working on some music, maybe trying to work on a little Who Day video. I gotta hit up Brian over there. We're working on some tunes for that.
Good.
We go to the playoffs. We're gonna need a jangle, boys.
Going to need it. And next week, hopefully, you'll be at a restaurant or something.
Yeah, we'll be out and about. I just had to get to these X and O's this weekend, and next thing we're out and about. We're talking to people again.
Now, before we let you go, could you just give us a tour of what's behind you? What exactly is in your
I see
basement?
a bass guitar back there.
Yeah, we've got like an assortment of guitars. We got drums. This is a place where Mr. Satin get loud, get stupid. Let's see what this way. I think we got more goodness over here.
More satin jackets.
Yeah, more satin jackets. We got a little steamer in the back to steam them off, so they smell good.
Is it a place that could keep Johnny Manziel entertained? That's what we want to know.
Well, it's true. He might have been down here. He might have not.
Is it a place where young children would be comfortable?
Oh, I hope so.
Satin, make sure you bring us back some food next week when you go a little restaurant hopping. That's my one request from you.
Hey, we got you those cookies, but we're going to up the game even more, so you bet.
Thank you,
Perfect.
Satin. Mr. Satin, live from the bowels of his home with Mr. Mittens. Or no, what was the cat's name?
Downtown.
Leroy
Brown or something.
Diesel Brown.
Diesel
Brown, yeah. Not unleaded.
Diesel.
I like Mr. Mittens. All right, let's look at the playoff picture, AFC, NFC. What do you say? Can we do that?
Let's do it.
Let's do
Pull
it
it
here,
up, fellas.
I think it's changed appreciably. There you go. The Patriots and Bengals would be the top 2 seeds. But there it is. I see the Steelers, the 6th seed, the Jets. Steelers, Jets. I don't know about the Steelers. Man.
Because you're not a.
They lost their 2 best offensive players.
The thing is, who's coming behind them? There's really no one.
D'Angelo Williams. No,
Well,
I don't. D'Angelo
Raiders-
Williams is
the
still
Raiders-
admirably.
No, I'm talking about team like the Raiders.
The Raiders are right behind
Lost.
them, but since they
Right.
beat them,
They're really 2 games behind.
Yeah, the Raiders are.
And then behind that is the Bills, who are, I guess, maybe, but after that,
The
you're
AFC
talking
is
about
really
2
weak.
and
The
yeah,
AFC is
there's
really
no
weak
one
this year.
There's no one there.
Before Roethlisberger went down, I thought the Steelers were definitely a playoff team because of the way the AFC lays out. Now I don't know what you don't know what'll happen in the next 3 games. They seem to be kind of used to playing without him.
Well, they get one. They play this week against the Browns, and then they get a bye, and then they're thinking he may be back after the bye.
Ken hates Landry Jones. He thinks he's the worst quarterback in the league.
Well, he just I don't know what that guy is. Plus that mustache, it's like, dude,
Yeah,
catch a shave.
Yeah.
I think this is important to point out. I don't know about this, and I want some direction here. Do they reseed the teams after the first round? In other words, when the Patriots and Bengals lay out, and then 3 and 4 play 5 and 6, or 6 plays 3, or whatever the hell it is. But
It's
do they
always the
reseed?
higher
It's
seed.
the higher versus the lower.
It's always the highest
Yeah.
seed.
Okay,
Always.
Yes.
So the Bengals would then, if this ended now, the Bengals would get the winner of the 4-5 game, the Jets-Colts game.
They would get
Well, it depends on. I don't know. I think
It'd be
you
the
said
Broncos
it depends
Steelers.
It would depend on who won the Steeler-Bronco game.
Yeah, they would get whoever won that game.
All right, well, let's say for grins, the Broncos win that. And let's say for
we would get
grins, the Colts beat the Jets.
So then the Broncos would go to come
Bengals.
here, and then the
Yeah.
Colts would go to New England.
New England,
That's
okay.
right.
But
Wow.
if the opposite was true, we would get the Jets. If
The
Jets won
Bengals
and
are
the Steelers
guaranteed to
won,
get the toughest of
Right.
whichever
Yeah.
is left.
right.
If
Now
the way it lays out right now.
Yeah.
I think the NFC, I think the top end of the AFC is stronger than the NFC, but I think the NFC is much more balanced than the AFC.
Agreed. The
I mean,
ceiling is.
absolutely.
We'll see what happens with the Vikings and their quarterback Teddy Bridgewater. He took a really nasty hit
Yeah.
as he was trying to slide. I'm not
you
sure who
guys-
the backup is there.
Did you
now.
see Zimmer's reaction to all that?
Yeah.
I just love him. He's
But I mean, look at the Falcons. Now I know they lost yesterday, and it was
to
a
the
bad
49ers?
bad
God
loss.
love them.
But a 6-3
Terrible.
Falcons team as a 6 seed, I mean, that's pretty strong when you got that. You got that.
I still think the Steelers, if they, well, obviously they're not going to get Le'Veon back, but if you have Ben and Antonio Brown, as you saw, what did he catch, 500 balls yesterday?
Yeah, 284 yards is crazy.
D'Angelo
and D'Angelo Williams.
Yeah,
is
he is a
pretty
good
He's
back.
great.
Yeah, he's a big back. He's fast. He's fine. They're
Very
fine with
interesting.
him.
Very
I
interesting.
mean,
This has to be. We were talking about. I think the furthest any season has gone with 3 undefeated teams. I remember when the Bengals were 6-0 in '88. They were the last team to go undefeated. They were the last team to have their first loss.
Right.
But the Patriots, most people, they're just people don't expect that. I mean, I think the people would. We were talking. You'd pick the Patriots in almost any game they play. It wouldn't matter where it was, who they were playing.
Yeah.
But I think they can go 16-0. Keenan was just down in the locker room at Paul Brown Stadium. He talked to a couple of players about the potential prospect of the Bengals going 16-0.
Can we hear this?
segue.
Yeah, that's
Can we
what
hear
do.
this?
Yeah.
Well, let's hear it. Let's listen to what they say.
How about that?
I think what we can look at is going on and that's the only thing we can focus on, and the next game, and that's as good as we can be that week, and that should be the only thing we're worried about is can we beat the team we're playing that week, and what does it take that week? I think. Anytime you win and have another opportunity to extend that, it's like, all right, well, it's only going to be harder. So, are you willing to put more in the next week to get another win?
What's 16-0, and if you go and win when it matters, you see what I'm saying? So I care less if we lose a few games going to the playoff. If those losses are good losses that help us grow and help us learn from them and get better and those type of things, and then to be 16-0 and learn nothing from our wins and go into the playoffs unprepared. So the perfect season is not really one of the goals we set out in the offseason. The perfect postseason is what we set out for.
So that was Andrew Whitworth and George Iloka.
Yeah, Marvin, I guarantee, is on them. Don't talk about it. Don't say anything about it.
But George did bring up a great point. He almost said that he would want a couple of good losses if there's a such thing as a good loss. He would take a couple of regular season losses if they could learn something from those losses and take it with them to the postseason.
Well, Vince Lombardi once said, nobody learned anything from a loss, ever. I will take 16-0. That's what I'll take.
I think they would rather take, they won 19 games, right? 19 is the goal. I really don't think the regular season. The Patriots, who went 18-1 that year. I'm sure they would take.
Also Super Bowl, yeah.
The only reason why I want to see them go 19-0
Why is that?
is to shut those fossils up down in Miami.
Larry Zonka.
Good Lord.
Yeah.
I mean, is that all
The
you got to
champagne
live
popping.
with? Nick Buonacane with the champagne and all that, and Mercury Morris is, get a life.
They are really mean-spirited about it. They really want to hold that record. Usually you see people like, I want someone to break my record. I want to see it live on through someone else. Not those
What do you
guys.
got? You're in Miami. What do you got to live for? The early bird special and the Dolphins being unbeaten. That's about it down there, right?
Latinas. You like Cuban girls?
I'm trying to keep this thing on a certain level here. Would you please?
Oh, okay, yeah. All right, we forgot.
Oh.
All right.
Well, you know what? What better time
Yes.
now than to go to our person who has her finger on the pulse of the Vox Populi.
Our person.
Yes, our person, because this person really and truly understands what goes on the news side, on the talent side, and on the social side. She is the lovely and vivacious and talented
Triple
Tanya
threat.
O'Rourke. Yes, Triple T. How are you?
What an intro. Thanks, guys.
Right. Who's the guy sitting behind you just munching on his lunch, by the way? Who is that?
That's our own Bill Bullock.
Really?
He's actually sitting at his desk because my desk is too messy and the computer's too slow.
He looks like he just got paroled.
He's been out for quite some time. He didn't just get paroled.
Okay, I wasn't sure.
Don't say that about my Billy. He's a good guy.
Anyway.
On social media?
Yes.
Bengals?
Yes.
Nothing. Guess why?
Why?
Game. But we can talk about there's stuff going on.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
obviously. By the way, I want to disagree with you about Hugh Jackson.
What?
I think I'm pie in the sky, and I'm a total fan. I say it 100% of the time. A lot of bad stuff happened with Hugh Jackson personally, and then he went out to LA or to Oakland,
yeah.
and just bombed. And
That was the Raiders, though.
said, "Come back, come into the fold, man. Let me give you a warm Cincinnati embrace." And I think Hugh maybe owes the Bengals a little more than that. I think he might stay another season. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm thinking.
I'm sorry, Tanya.
Yeah, I don't think anybody
I
stays
disagree.
out
There's
of
only
loyalty.
32 head coaching jobs in the NFL.
Right.
Anytime one
I
opens,
know.
you take it,
I
even
just-
if it's Oakland or Jacksonville.
And he was a guy who thinks he should be a head coach right now. And that might be even actually
think it's true.
that's an accurate piece
Well, he probably should.
feeling.
No.
Yeah, that one I'm just saying. And so yeah, I mean he felt like he was given a
Yeah.
poor situation in Oakland to perform, and yeah, he I think like you say, we wanted Gruden and Zimmer to stay, but when somebody comes to
I
you and
didn't
says you want to be
to stay. I wanted Zimmer to stay, and I want Hugh to stay. I was happy.
You want
to
everyone to stay.
9 on your sides. Jason Law reported today at noon that Hugh Jackson was seen purchasing luggage in the Kenwood Town Center.
That's so not
Sunday.
true.
Yes.
All right. So a couple things going on with the Bengals. Doma Topeko. On the positive side, Doma Topeko, did you hear about him apologizing to the Browns player he hit, late hit, wasn't called? Did you hear about this?
Joe
No.
Thomas.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they have those mics on some of the linemen that they use when you. That's why you hear Peyton say Omaha and all that stuff. And he
Okay.
went over to the sideline, and he had given a guy a late hit down
Joe
when they were on
Thomas.
their own 10-yard line or 5-yard line, and they didn't call it. But Tanya will continue. He went over it later on and said,
Yeah, he just said, "Man, I'm sorry. I didn't mean it." And so he's getting a lot of love actually on Twitter from people thinking like this is a good guy, which I think he is.
He is, yeah.
He really
some,
is.
Great
some
guy.
people really butcher his name like Damata Pico, but Doma Topeko I think is coming off like smelling like a rose because it was caught. I mean, it wasn't. I don't think he meant for it to get caught on. Being recorded, but he was recorded like apologizing for something that he didn't intend to do. So not every late hit is an intentional hit. But then on the other side of that coin, you got Vontaze Burfict, who is being asked apparently by Coach Lewis to apologize to that cameraman. Did you remember that during the game?
Yeah.
One
It was
guy
the-
ran into
yeah.
the camera, and the other
Yeah.
guy ran into the camera, and then Burfict ran in, and he just kind of hit
Yeah.
it over. I
Yeah,
mean, he
the
literally like.
cameraman
threw
was Jimmy Stricker, who has been. I work with him at another channel, and he crews all the Bengals and the Reds games. And there's not a nicer guy on the planet than Jimmy Stricker. And I didn't know what Burfict was doing. There was no reason for it.
No,
Absolutely
he threw
not.
that camera over. So apparently, apparently Coach Lewis has asked him to apologize to Stricker, and I think Stricker's sort of on the record going, look, I know what I'm getting myself into being out there, but like you said, nice guy.
Yeah, his name is either Stricker or Strickland.
It was a
Strickler.
It was
and Mike was Mike works on the field. We've talked about that before. And he kind of came over and gave him first aid because the viewfinder came when he came on the end of the lens. He pushed the camera back, and when you're doing that, I've done it before. Your face sometimes is right there, and you don't expect it to move suddenly towards you.
He's on our production team, and he had a cut above his eyebrow, a cut on his nose, and then his leg got hurt pretty bad in the exchange. But Jim's a tough guy, man. He doesn't. He was, it was a war guy. I think he went up and went to work at 4 a.m. after that. So he doesn't. He's a tough guy.
He worked. You know who he worked for? Tanya. He worked for your father.
Did he? Bill
Yes,
Spiegel,
he did.
my dad?
He worked for Bill. Absolutely.
It was a bizarre game for Vontaze Burfict. Sorry to step over here, Tanya, but
Hey, we're talking about family now.
Yeah. We're talking about multimedia productions. Eagle One.
Eagle won.
But during that game, I was on the field and I witnessed that Geno Atkins and Vontaze Burfict got into it. Geno physically pushed him. Vontaze was in his face. I'm not sure what transpired before that play. As halftime happened, we were in the media room where we do the post-game press conferences, just kind of hanging out, waiting for the second half to start. And Burfict and Wallace Gilberry came in there, and Wallace politely asked us to leave so he could have a heart-to-heart with Vontaze. Vontaze was clearly emotional, could see tears in his eyes. I'm not sure what was going on in his head that game, but something was a little off with him, obviously. They took a couple of minutes and they came back out and obviously had a great second half. That defense did.
Here's the feeling I get about Burfict, and I have no reason to know this, but the feeling I get about Burfict is incredibly talented, highly emotional, overcharged on occasion, a little bit of a hothead, and that those guys are trying to coach him up on being a human. Like, he does not need a whole lot of coaching on being tough, but he needs a whole lot of coaching on being a good guy. And that's the feeling I get, and that's where you have a guy like Geno Atkins, who is quietly a leader, and saying, hey, man, calm it down.
Right.
Like, you need to get your stuff in order. Is that sort of what your read is, too?
I felt like it was very much a big brother moment when those two were back there. It was like Wallace was like, I need to take care of this dude right now. I really need to get in his head and really get him back in line. And I agree with you. I think it was a very familial kind of moment to get back to multimedia one and all that stuff. I think that's what it was.
Yeah.
I think that's really good news. I mean, I think it's odd that he would ask the media to leave room. There are a billion rooms in Paul Brown Stadium.
Right. Well, the media room is right next to the locker room, so it's like the next room over. So and he did it in a very polite way and wasn't like, you guys need to get the F out of here or anything like that. So it was very well done. And, clearly, again, that defense played like a different kind of beast in the second half.
They really did.
So then you have a whole bunch of stuff going on. Obviously, I mean, Big Ben's out. You guys have been talking about it a bit. Everybody's talking about it. But it seems a lot like Steelers fans do not seem concerned about this. Adam Schefter just tweeted, sounds like Big Ben Roethlisberger will miss next Sunday's game versus Browns, takes the bye week to rest, and then plays against the Seahawks.
Well, it's the Browns. Sorry, Libby. No one cares about the Browns.
Yeah, that's true. Manning, Broncos, why can't Manning beat the Colts? I mean, I'm a Manning fan, so that makes me sad, but I had to root against him yesterday because we don't need them to go undefeated if we're going to go undefeated.
That's a great point.
We could. So, so obviously the power rankings came out a couple hours ago. Did you see that? Have you already discussed this on the day?
No.
We have not. Enlighten us, Tanya.
Breaking news.
Well, we're third.
Whose power rankings?
Really? We were second, I think, last week.
ESPN's? Or CNN's?
Who's second? Carolina?
Carolina.
Yeah.
Okay, they went ahead of us. So last week, I think we were second. I'm not sure.
Well, after a win like beating the Packers, although it was at home,
Yeah.
I could see that. I mean, they've had a tough schedule. And Seattle, I would say, what would you consider, the Bengals' best win? Is it Seattle?
Seattle, I think Seattle's a disappointment.
Yeah, and they're not even in the playoff picture right now. So if you're going by strength of schedule, I would say that probably the Panthers have a better run right now.
But what does it matter? I think it's great for us because we're talking about it. But I think honestly, it's what you do on the field, and so far so good.
Brian wants to know who the Patriots have played.
They
played everybody we played, and that's the darn truth of that matter too. You're absolutely right, Matt, or whoever.
Brian said that.
Brian
you know what? The Patriots had to play the Steelers
opening night.
Yeah, I mean, they've.
It's
very similar. I haven't looked at the schedules.
That
if nothing else, I think it's just the mental image everybody has of the Patriots. They've been winning for so long. They seem to know exactly what they're doing all the time. They set a record the other day, or yesterday, for scoring in 30-something straight quarters. They've scored in every quarter except for the first quarter of the first game this year.
What I don't understand is they keep losing.
ridiculous.
They keep losing offensive linemen. I don't know. I mean, sooner or later it's going to collapse on them. I just feel like that.
They still got Belichick. As long as you got
Yeah.
Belichick, you got
Right.
that ace in the hole.
Right.
Right, because
so
he's
here's
got.
the question I have about these power rankings. How do you feel if you're the Redskins, Bears, Titans, Browns, and Lions because you rank underneath the 49ers?
Ooh.
I'm not surprised. I predicted the Bears would be the worst team in the league going in, and I root for
Well,
the
you went
Bears.
out on a limb with that.
The Bears are going to be the worst team in the league this
Yeah.
year, and I'm not surprised that they're under anybody.
Right.
Yeah. Tanya, it's good to see you again.
Good to see you guys.
Thanks,
All
T.
right.
Love
Thanks for
the
taking
guys.
me back out to the chairs out here. I don't get to be in the comfy chair because Keenan's in there.
Why don't you just? I'm thinking maybe we could just take these chairs out of here and just take them back to our desk the next time they're in here.
Man, that would be heaven.
Isn't that great?
Those chairs, courtesy of the fine folks at Furniture Fair.
Fair.
That's right. You
Rub
know.
Bill's head for good luck.
Why can't I get a chair?
Yeah,
I want a chair.
We need you to rub Bill's head.
Oh, rub Bill's head?
For good luck. For 9-0.
Yeah. Okay.
There we go. All right. Thank you, Tanya. Thank you, Bill.
Thank you. All right, so let's talk because we're not going to be back until next Tuesday, right?
Correct.
So we're not here next Monday, but we're here next.
We're not going to do next Monday before the game.
I think they
Keenan,
take,
quit thinking.
I think they take the, I think they take the hurt stick to Houston. I do. I think I mean Houston is it's a car full of clowns. I
They
mean,
got Hopkins and Watt and not a whole lot more.
no.
Yeah, I think it's a lot like the Cleveland game. If the Bengals play bad for a while, they might let them hang around.
Yeah.
But unless they just really fall on it, or 2 or 3 really big injuries happen, Houston doesn't have the team to play with.
Yeah.
I'm a little bit worried about them.
Are you?
Yeah.
I mean,
I think they're playing better.
For a while, that
They do.
Brown game looked in jeopardy, but I just think the Bengals so far this year have shown they can overcome and they can play do what they're supposed to do. And if they do, I don't.
You
think
know what?
Houston
I don't
can
think the
stop them.
Broncos were worried about Indianapolis too much yesterday. That might have been part of it. I don't know.
Yeah, but Indianapolis is a hell of a lot better than Houston.
They weren't. Yeah. I mean, I don't know.
Their
I think they're a better
quarterback,
team.
their quarterback is a whole lot better.
Right. When Andrew Luck is on,
You-
he is a really good quarterback.
Indianapolis.
That's not correct for Houston.
Yesterday was the first time I saw them really play well.
Yeah, and I think that's because Andrew Luck was finally healthy
Yeah,
for the
but-
first time in a long time.
That's
I mean, Houston doesn't have Arian Foster.
They don't.
Andre Johnson has sailed. I couldn't even tell you who their running back is.
I mean, none of us.
It's Alfred Blue.
Yeah.
Well,
so-
there you go.
I'm surprised you don't have a Blue.
He's not even
song
a
to
household name in Mrs. Blue's household.
sing. There you
go. They've got another generic quarterback in
go.
Hoyer.
Ryan Hoyer, right? A guy. He's just a guy.
He's just a guy. I mean, I think it's J.J. Watt and 20 guys named Fred.
I really want to see this Bengals running game really get loose. though.
Yeah, I agree with you.
And it's been a long time. Jeremy Hill, God bless him. I mean, he's putting on a good face. You see him at the games. He's the first guy celebrating other guys' touchdowns. But you really want to see this guy get loose. I mean, he hasn't had a good game yet. I don't think he's eclipsed the 75-yard mark once this season.
Well, and over and above that, if you look at what Jackson's doing, he's giving equal carries to both.
Right.
I think Jackson would really like to see one of these guys step
Take
up and
it.
just be the guy. But I don't know. I think they're going to beat Houston, and I think they'll beat them with
10-point
ease.
win.
At least.
Yeah.
At least.
I hope so.
All right, so we're back on next Tuesday at
Going
1
up.
o'clock with a recap of the Houston Texans show. If you've missed any part of this show, it's available 24/7, 365. That's what the kids say. On WCPO.com. Tell your friends about us, get the app, and join us next Tuesday for the next edition of the Flying Pigskin Show.
Flying Pigskin and chill.
The Flying Pigskin Show on WCPO.com.